while Eck is getting a beverage. So last night I'm up in Toronto at the Toronto Marlies Albany Devils Calder Cup playoff game. And while that's going on, Dan, Russ, Jillian, and myself are all carrying on this conversation via text. Now, when it's multiple people on my phone, when it's multiple people, it goes to an MMS, not like a text message.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And for some reason, my phone, I have to download the message. It says like download 1 kilobyte, and I have to continue to press this button. So I've got like 13 messages, and I can't read them as they're popping up. I have to download.
I get that once in a while too. I do.
Oh my! It's so infuriating. And then the thing was, you guys are carrying on the conversation while I'm driving down the QEW, and I want to find sort of like I'm like looking on the road, download. It's like.
All right, a couple things. First of all, our group text is not that important where you should be reading it while you're driving. Secondly, are you using a Nokia flip phone? Like, what are you texting with?
No. What am I?
But I have a Galaxy S5. It does that once in a while too.
Yeah, that's
the nice thing about the iPhone is, like, when say you're in a group text, you can actually mute the conversation when you want to. So, like, if you were driving, you could just mute it, and you wouldn't get any alerts while you were driving.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool.
Then I had to take my eyes off the road to mute it. So. But I was, the thing was, it was like I was hoping that the conversation was about the game last night, and instead it's just about this. I don't even remember what some of the stuff was.
Something important.
The game, then it got personal in the sense that I talked about my childhood a little bit. Nobody needs to get bored about that. And then some other stuff, and then back to the game, and then we all went to sleep because we're old.
Yeah, that's right.
Act popped off here, so I'm just going to. Oh, there he is.
All
right, you're back.
I'm back.
Maybe.
I apologize. No, I'm here for sure. All right, cool. I'm good. You can hear me?
Yes, you're good. We can hear you.
All right.
Is that you or is it a hologram?
We'll just go. This is just me for today.
It's just you. Okay.
Yeah. Holograms on the way. I did.
Weird. Anyway.
I want to throw something out there real quick.
This weather is awful, by the way.
Yeah.
Like, when's it going to be spring?
It's like being in Plattsburgh in spring. That's what it's like.
Plattsburgh's not, no offense to anyone who's watching from Plattsburgh. I can think of about 6 million other places I'd rather hang out in.
It could be worse, Russ. You could end up in Troy.
So I have this thing.
5 million.
Let Eck talk. Let Eck talk, please.
Okay.
I don't know if you can hear me or not because I wasn't sure, but okay.
I can't hear Eck.
You can't hear Eck. That's why I thought you were oddly talking over me. You can't hear me. But you guys can.
I can hear you.
I can hear you.
Dan, log off and log back on.
Weird.
Yep, I'll do the official.
That was strange. I'm like, Dan's being a little bit ruder than normal.
Oh no, not yesterday. It's like I told Dan. I said, Dan, just turn down your volume a little bit, and he was getting like this. It's like it was that.
It was so strange.
Let's do a roll call. Me.
Dan. You hear me, Dan?
I can hear you. Yeah, I was trying to do something like they used to do in the Mickey Mouse Club when they did the roll call, but I couldn't think of it.
Read between the lines.
Don't start Mickey Mouse Club, man. That's been a tone around here, but that's another story for another day. But
yeah, my niece is at Disney World right now, so that's a coincidence.
My wife works for Siemens, and if anybody out there works for the Siemens company, it's a giant, major conglomerate. She built a startup that was bought by Siemens, and Siemens yesterday decided to rebrand themselves, okay, to rebrand the medical division, and to call them Siemens Health and Ears, okay, like, and so Siemens like health engineers, but health and ears. And they had a whole like song and dance thing where they made 45,000 employees in Germany stand in a square while people danced in like crazy those bodysuits of different colors singing the Health and Ear song.
Being of Eastern European descent, 45,000 Germans singing and dancing together makes me a little nervous.
Yeah.
As long as we're watching the producers and they start singing "Springtime for Hitler."
She's got this crazy boss. I shouldn't say anything else because I don't know if they watch the show. But anyway, but the whole Health and Ears thing is just good. If you want a real riot of it, it was like they had hired Michael Scott as their new.
Oh, that's great.
And he had put together it's so Dundee's-esque. It's crazy. And oh my gosh, it was absolutely nuts. So if you want to search for something funny, look for Siemens Health and Ears on Reddit, and you'll see you'll actually see the video, which is so weird, of this stage they put together and this sing along song, And then, this company's full of PhDs and highly educated people who have now been marginalized into health and years. It's just hilarious. They're really not happy. Just amazing to me how these decisions are made by people, and important people.
I mean, there's other parts of the body that it would be worse, Zach. I mean, seriously.
It's not ears like that. I know. That's what I thought, too.
It could be health and rears.
Health and ears, or engineers who work on health. It's supposed to be like, but it's hard. It just doesn't make any sense. That this decision, and what my friend of mine who works for corporate America knows is this joke. As bad as decisions of corporate America are, just realize that this is the best of several things they looked at.
Yes. Yeah, I can run with you. I can go through some bad ideas when we're off the air. I don't want to mention them on the air.
Isn't it crazy? I mean,
I've been a part of some gems.
This is like horrible, and yet there were things that were probably worse than this. But anyway, let's start the show. Oh, one thing I had to mention real fast is I got really lucky. I got part of the Microsoft, and that's for all I talk about Microsoft on here, right? Microsoft has blessed me with becoming one of the first testers of HoLens, right? This cool new technology coming out. So I am actually getting next week a HoLens thing and a programming kit. And I've got some great ideas for this, but the problem is I don't know squat about programming. So I really am looking hard for somebody out there. So if you are interested in doing so, I mean, this is like getting it on an iPhone like a year before.
You don't have to hook it up to the temples of your head, do you?
No.
Okay.
It's just like if you want to see some unbelievable videos, search for HoLens on YouTube. But
I'm afraid to.
This stuff is this technology I think is the coolest technology. This makes me feel like I am happy that I've lived long enough to see this happen. Like this is one of the, this is how cool this is. Like it is that cool, and I'm just lucky enough to have like Hockey Buzz and have like a Twitter following. They want me to be a part of this thing, so I really need somebody. So just email Eklund@HockeyBuzz.com and say you're a programmer. I've got some ideas, and this is like getting in on the iPhone before the iPhone came out. So this is really exciting. So if we put some cool hockey ideas together and cool sports ideas together, I've even incorporated a little company about it. So it's a really cool thing. So just get in touch with me, Eklund@HockeyBuzz.com. Hopefully, best off if you're like in the New York, Philly area type there. But if you're not, that's still good. So anyway, let's start the show.
And nobody from Wisconsin.
That's okay. If you're from Wisconsin, you're really good. You need like game programming experience, like really like you programmed games before, and then you'll just be amazed. I'll tell you guys off the air my ideas. It's just that's why I got it, because they liked my idea.
I know a few game programmers, but let me know if you don't have any luck. I can contact them via Facebook.
I think I got a guy too. Yeah,
cool. Just send them to me, and I really need to talk to people about this because, like I said, I'm getting it next week, and I don't want to waste time because this is such a cool technology. And as you know, with any of these things, if you like me, I people say I have 250,000 Twitter followers. It's because I was on Twitter early on. That's why I have all those Twitter followers. This is the same kind of thing with this thing, so I'm gonna jump on board on this. All right, let's start the show. It is the 5th of May.
May the 5th, Cinco de Mayo.
Yes. We gotta celebrate Cinco de Mayo while we still can.
Hello, Hockey World. It's Thursday, May the 5th, 2016.
I'm Michael Agello.
I'm Dan Petru.
I'm Russ Cohen from Sportsology.
And I am Eklund, and you're watching the HockeyBuzzCast on HockeyBuzz.com. This is the podcast that comes to you every Monday through Friday at this time of day to get you filled in on the comings and goings. And I have a rumor to start with, believe it or not. A rumor, actual rumor. The world, but of course we've heard about the Bruce Boudreau talks, and we will get into the games right after this. But that he's now going to talk with Minnesota and Ottawa, and I know Ottawa's got it, but I know Calgary's already made their pitch and already has a big contract offer on the table for them. But I talked to somebody who was kind of let's say familiar with the situation a little bit, and he told me that one of the things that was discussed with Boudreau is his apparently doesn't share the same love of Carrie Ramo that I have. Let's just say that much.
Did you talk to me?
and wants a goalie. Wants to make sure that there's a goalie. His Boudreau's system very much works off of strong defense and goalies, and but in Calgary doesn't have one of those. But the talk was that Calgary is seriously considering putting together an offer at the draft for Marc-Andre Fleury, and that would be something that they would pursue. And I know they're not going to be the only team that does that. I'm sure Dallas will do that as well. I've heard people around that too. There's a team that's very, very good, and it needs that to go over the top. Even though they have two goalies now.
It's funny you mentioned Dallas, Zach, because our buddy Jeff Merrick on Hockey Central this morning mentioned them possibly going after Henrik Lundqvist. And if you think about it, it makes sense. But now I'm not so sure, as Jeff was saying, that the Rangers are completely shot, done, it's over with. They may still think that they have a chance of making a few moves to contend for another 1 to 2 years. But if they're of the mind that they have to now rebuild, then a contract over $8 million and Lundqvist still being a good goaltender might be a direction that Dallas would want to go. Because we know right now they're goaltending, they're spending $10.25 million on a couple guys who can't finish a game.
Right.
The only thing that doesn't work for that, I agree with Jeff in that it makes sense, but when you try and make sense of how the Rangers have operated over the years, they don't rebuild, and when they trade guys like that, like Leach, they wait till the bitter end.
Right. I was actually just thinking that.
Yeah, so it's probably too soon.
And I would think they try and get rid of some of their other contracts that are actually. I don't think Lundqvist makes a lot of money, but he isn't hurting them. They have plenty of guys making too much money that are hurting them. I would think they try and move those deals first.
And also, Lundqvist has, of course, the no move clause, and he loves it in New York. And him moving him out of New York is going to be very difficult. But he's one of these guys who I actually respect for that. Like, there's some guys I don't, but with him I really do respect because he actually stayed in New York for less money to stay in New York, and I think the Rangers have a lot of kahunas to ask him to even move that no trade clause after that.
He's got 2 homes. It's New York and Sweden, and to be honest, he might be one of those guys that just never plays for another team. Like, he might retire early, and he doesn't have one of those post-35 deals that would hurt the Rangers. He might just walk away one year and go back to Sweden, and that would be it. And it wouldn't shock me.
Yeah, I could totally see him going back to playing.
The guy that they're more likely going to move is probably Nash, and it's a movable contract because it only has left at less than $8 million. But getting back to Fleury,
the big news is Fleury. Let's get back to that. Yeah, sorry.
Getting back to Fleury, I mean, it's not just going to be Calgary who's interested in a goaltender. I mean, Dallas. I mean, you don't know where Lou Lamoriello and the Leafs are going to go. I mean, they have no confidence in Jonathan Bernier. I think they would rather have a younger goaltender. They would probably, I know they tried to get Matt Murray in the Kessel deal and couldn't get him. I mean, there was a connection between Kyle Dubas, who was the Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds GM, and Matt Murray, who played in Sault Ste. Marie. But I think the Leafs are going to go for a younger guy. But if they can't find somebody who they think can be a number 1 goaltender as a stopgap, they might go for a Fleury who has 3 years left at around 5.5, I believe.
Is this a little? I mean, I think that makes sense, and I think the Calgary thing makes sense. And if Calgary has to say they're going to have to say some things to get Boudreau to go there, then they're like, okay, well we've got a plan to get a goalie, whether it's Marc-Andre Fleury or somebody else. But and I think Matt Murray's been unbelievable. And he's great. He's been incredible, but isn't it a little bit early for this? I mean, like, in my mind, it's a little bit early to anoint Matt Murray.
I'll disagree with you, and I'll let Russ talk and Dan talk. But I think it is. I think you've got a year before expansion. The only thing that you're risking here is if you can get something really good for Fleury, which you probably can. But the question mark about concussion now, because he's missed most of the playoffs with the concussion, the salary, the term, and the fact that many critics out there think he's not a good playoff goaltender. I particularly think that's a bad rap because I think he's played well at times. Mm-hmm. But there are some people out there who do think that. So I think and okay, Murray has been fantastic and he may carry them to a Stanley Cup. But you know what? It's not unheard of that this guy comes up next year, has a sophomore slump, and they need a Fleury. And the only thing they would have to turn to then is either, if they trade for another goaltender to be the backup, or Jeff Zatkoff, or Tristan Jarry. So I don't know if they're going to rush to move Fleury this summer.
I would do it because, A, Fleury is taking up X amount of cap space. B, Pittsburgh's not loaded with prospects. I haven't particularly liked Derek Pouliot's play, and he's one of their better ones, right? Daniel Sprong's going to be a real good one, but he's one of the last really, really good ones. They have like 4 or 5 other mid-level prospects that can make the NHL, no question about it, but not with star potential. So I think this is the only other way you could get another potential star to put in that lineup because they're going to need one again next year. This team is not going to, go right from this year to next year. Matt Cullen won't be scoring the way Matt Cullen's scoring right now. And Murray's 21. It's not like he's 18. He's had a big workload in his career. Like, that's the thing. It may not have been at the NHL level, but he's always played a lot of games. And so that's what bodes well for him. It's not like he was in the college system where he maybe didn't play a lot, or he was a backup, where, like Tristan Jarry was a backup for 2 years where he didn't play a lot. So I think that's okay. And then if they want to get the veteran backup, get it and give Jarry another full season in the A.
You think they would get a star back for Fleury in a trade?
I think they could, yeah. I think as long as he gets cleared from his concussion testing, Marc-Andre Fleury's play the last couple of years has been excellent.
Yeah.
Like, nobody could say anything in the playoffs and otherwise.
This year alone, at times, he kept Pittsburgh in it. Let's not forget that. Pittsburgh's looking great now, but there was a time when Pittsburgh couldn't score a goal to save their lives, and he kept them competitive.
Yep.
If you have a goalie that you think is ready in Murray, he's your number one prospect. He's one of the best prospects in all of hockey between the pipes. You're ready to go with him. What this does is it gives you cap flexibility, something Pittsburgh has not had in years. So you can make the move. You get some good young players back, maybe one really good young player, maybe a couple draft picks. You kind of rebuild your farm system, but it gives you cap flexibility to use throughout your roster. If you have to pick up a backup goalie somewhere with some experience, you do. But I think if the deal is right, I wouldn't give him away. If the deal is right, you make the deal.
Well, Pittsburgh doesn't have a first-round pick this year, and I don't think they're going to get. If it's Calgary, I don't think they're going to get the number 6 pick for.
No, probably not.
But if there is a possibility of them getting a deal where they get a low first, and that would fill that hole. They definitely need to start infusing some prospects into that organization. They do have a few, but I think they really they're starting to get old in certain areas, and they're thin in certain areas like defense.
Yep.
And if it's Calgary, how about Dennis Weidman in that deal?
No.
It
defeats
sounds
the
good,
purpose of trading him.
right. They got to go younger than that.
Yeah, and Weidman will be moved, but I don't know. I still think he's going to end up back in Boston. But
He will.
No, I think that almost happened. I think it could still happen. I
agree with that.
The likelihood of that happening went up even more with the news that Torrey Krug's going to be out 6 months.
Yeah.
Wow. So with shoulder surgery, talk about Russ said it when we were having a discussion on the phone. His prediction about the downfall of the Bruins was probably a year too early. With the news that Bolesky is out, and he'll probably be back for training camp, but Krejci had hip surgery, will be out 5 months, and Krug, who's an RFA, is going to be out 6 months with the complete rebuild of his shoulder. You're talking, their number 1 center and their number 2 or 3 defensemen. Those are absences that the Bruins are not going to be able to recover from.
Right. No, you're absolutely right. I think it's going to be interesting to follow. I don't know which way it's going to go yet. There's a lot about this Pittsburgh team that's interesting, though, and I'm going to talk about that as we talk about last night's game. It was obvious. I think it was one of the best games of the playoffs so far. It was just really.
Oh, it was a great game.
A really good game, back and forth. I didn't watch it until this morning. I've been thanks to Aaron for taking care of the show the last couple of days. I've been taking care of my son. He's been going through some stuff, and he's feeling a little bit better today. But I have been sort of out of commission a little bit, so I ended up watching the game right before this podcast, and from last night. And yeah, just the amount of hits and the amount of brutal checks that were going on in that game, and just the passion being played. You really have just maybe the two of the best teams in the NHL playing against each other in this game. It really feels like that. Even comparing it to the West, I think that both these teams would have a good shot against anybody in the West.
Although Mike Sullivan won the coaching battle in that game.
He did. He totally did. Leading, of course, to the rumors that Boudreau will end up back in Washington after the series.
No, you can't do that. Wait a minute.
It's not going to happen, obviously. Just a joke. But that was a funny thing on Twitter last night for sure. There's no way that's happening.
But I was talking to Mike on the phone last night because he wasn't able to watch the overtime, and I was kind of shocked that Mike Weber was out there early in overtime. It's like when you're in a game like that and you know the series could be teetering, don't you go with your best players? I understand it could be a long overtime, but then you throw Weber out there when it's like when you're mired into 8 minutes of overtime, because most of the games are going 7 minutes or less. If you get to the 8-minute mark of overtime, then you say, okay, Weber, you're in, because at that point, then there's nothing else you could do. But at the beginning of it, you got to have your best players in there.
There's a reason why Buffalo traded Mike Weber for a team that was playing Carlo Koliakovo at the end of the year. And Carlo's at the end of his career, and I understand a team like Buffalo, if they're going to trade their UFA guys and get prospects back. I understand that, but Weber was supposed to be the seventh or eighth defenseman on that team, and because Orpik was suspended, here's something that the Orpik suspension affected was that Orpik was not out there at that point, and Mike Weber was, and Mike Weber is a train wreck in his own end defensively.
Well, they got Mike Weber. The way Barry Trotz works is got Mike Weber. Weird echo, sorry. You got Mike Weber to fill in the spot for. He was basically Orpik's replacement should Orpik go down. That was the thought. So they see him as a defensive defenseman. So they're putting him out there instead of Orpik. Like Barry Trotz does that, which has its pluses and minuses. I'm kind of a fan of that. I'm not a fan of starting Weber, but I'm a fan of not messing up all your lines, but just replacing one guy in one spot, which is what they do with Weber and Orpik. But Weber's not Orpik, obviously, and that was just so blatantly apparent. But
go ahead.
The other thing I noticed about Pittsburgh, and this is my blog for tomorrow, and it was going to be a blog for today, I had more time, but my blog for tomorrow will be this, as a little teaser. Are the Penguins the beginning of a new kind of NHL? Like there's something about the way they're playing right now, and the fact that they are going with all these offensive defensemen that didn't work other places, and they have these guys going in there that are all just one. Are we seeing like the next wave of? I'm not going to say like the Oilers, but are we seeing the next '80s coming, where we're going to see a ton of scoring again, and we're going to really just care more about the defensemen being more puck-moving defensemen, and also to go along with that is just an influx of enormous amounts of puck-moving defensemen into the NHL as prospects, like we talked about with Russ before. There's just it was obviously like 15 years ago, like if your kid can play, make him, and he's a good forward, put him on defense because we need puck-moving defensemen, and we're seeing all of those guys going right now.
I think with the Penguins, if they do beat the Capitals, if they do go on and win the Stanley Cup, I think and we know how the league is a copycat league. Right. I think what they will bring is the importance of the infusion of speed in this game. This team was not a playoff team at the halfway mark, but what did they do? They add Hagelin. They add Daly. They bring up fast guys like Sherry and Rust and Kuhnhackl from Scranton Wilkes-Barre. I mean, their bottom six, and most of their bottom six are entry-level guys with speed. And this
kills. The thing that they're doing that's different is that, in my opinion, I mean, speed always kills, but the thing that they're doing that's different is the fact that they are thinking offense first all the time. And
they're thinking, we've been talking about this for a couple of years, where the puck-moving defenseman is now an important thing, and the defensive defensemen are almost gone anyhow. They're like Chris Therrien wouldn't be able to play in this league. It's just, Jeff Bukaboom wouldn't be able to play in this league. That's just the way it is now. And now we're getting to the point where they're finding you could have 4 offensive defensemen, maybe even 5, as long as they skate well and get the puck out of their own zone. It doesn't matter if they're marksman defensemen or not. It doesn't matter if they're big hitters or not. Yeah. That's the big deal. And there are a lot of guys, like you said, getting drafted that way. But the biggest thing I think the Capitals are getting killed on, and I'll harp on it again, Mike Richards is killing them. He might be getting 50% on faceoffs for his 9 minutes, but he's slow as molasses. And Michael Lotta is the backup. And you know what? Michael Lotta is a lot faster. He may not score either, but he's got a better chance of keeping the puck out and doing a few things. Richards is done. And I think this buying into having him on the roster because he's good in the room is old-fashioned, antiquated thinking. I do.
I think too is the biggest. I think the biggest thing you see with the Penguins is you can get by with average play in your own end if you always have the puck.
Right.
And they have the puck. They have gone for we are a puck possession team. We're going to keep the puck, and we can get by with average defensive play if we always keep the puck. And I think what you're seeing, the exact contrast with that with the Capitals is when Richards is on the ice, when that line is on the ice, the Penguins always have the puck. You can't chase the game. If you keep chasing the game, the funny thing is, for the most part, the Capitals have not played bad in this series. Holtby's been fine, and they've played quite well, and they're down 3-1. And it just feels like they're chasing the game a lot against the Penguins. They never have the puck.
Well, the funny thing was, looking at it before the series, we thought, okay, Holtby is going to have the advantage in goal over Murray. Murray has played wonderfully. Holtby has played well. The battle is basically even, and in that instance, and that's an advantage that Washington needed. Now you look at it, Washington's defense is much better, at least on paper, than Pittsburgh's, but Pittsburgh's defense is quick enough to get the puck out of the zone, to headman the puck, and get players like Kessel and Crosby, crossing the red line on attack into the offensive zone. And from what I've seen of this series, Washington seems clogged up. I don't know if Pittsburgh's, clogging up the middle, playing like essentially a neutral zone trap, or just attacking with forechecking. But Washington has not been able to generate enough of an offensive attack, and I thought that was something they were going to be able to do with Kuznetsov and Ovechkin. I think, honestly, Game 5, you shorten your bench. You play your top 4 defensemen. You play your top 3 lines. If you don't win, your season is over with, and you just have Ovechkin run everybody over. I mean, you got to get desperate now, because this season is over if you don't win Game 5.
There's no question there.
Is that a prediction, Mike? The season's over if they don't win Game 5?
Thank you. Yes, of course.
Okay.
Well, I mean, I know Rusted Chicken is not happy about any of this, but besides him. I mean, this is kind of what I saw coming with the Penguins. But we did talk so much. My point being, we talked so much about the Penguins are going to get killed because they can't play defense in the playoffs. They're so good down the stretch.
We weren't the only ones.
No, remember, everybody on this panel said the same thing. Yeah, well, it's different in playoffs. It's different in the playoffs. The defense. You have to play the defense. We talked about that, and yeah, we're seeing right now that if, like in the good old days, if kind of the Edmonton Oilers, if you don't have to play defense, if you're that good. And you can score that. I mean, the fact that their third line is, I don't know what their third line technically is, but if it's
Hagler, Bonino, and Kessel.
Yeah, if that's their third line, I mean, that's only their third line because Malkin's on the second line. They don't call it the second line. Malkin's really the third line right now, and that's phenomenal. I mean, that also, helps helps a little bit to have that kind of offensive depth. And Malkin is getting it. Just when he gets the puck, he looks like what Yager wants to look like, like to me, like he's so big and strong, you just can't get the puck away from him, and yet he's so fast and just. I'll never forget seeing Malkin's first game in the NHL. I went to it in Pittsburgh just to see what it was like, and that just even from the warm-ups on in that game, I was just blown away by the fact that he does everything so well. I mean, he really does. He has like that ability to skate like some Mark Messier, like the Mario Lemieux type passing thing. He's got he shoots incredibly hard. Kind of like Lindros would shoot at one point in time. Kind of more like Tavares now. He's got like all that kind of stuff. It's just he's just such a combination
I wrote, not to one up you or anything, I wrote about him in the World Juniors, and I think I was like the first person to really write about him with NHL.com, and he amazed me. It was like
it's incredible, isn't it?
He was like a revolutionary player, but then, he's had some ups and downs. He always scores points, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But I think we always have bigger expectations than sometimes Malkin comes through on. But now his complete game is so good that even if he's not scoring, he's out there punishing people. He's out there really making other team, the opponent pay. And he was great. He really was.
I believe that if he went to another team, if he was moved to another team, he'd be winning MVPs in the NHL right now.
Yeah, he would be.
I mean, I think there's no. I mean, I think that it's been good for him in a way to be because
he might not want to be the number one guy. I don't think he has that personality.
I don't agree with that one.
I think he does. I absolutely.
Just talking to people, some of our Russian friends there, Russ. I talked to her about him a lot, and just to get an idea of what he's really like, and no, I think he definitely wants to be the guy.
Yeah, but talking the talk and walking the walk are two different things. They are.
Yeah. He's been in a situation where he hasn't had to, right? Like he's in a situation where it's in a really odd situation for a player like him to be in. He can play. He's playing in the only team in the world where he wouldn't be the number one guy, right? So.
Right. Not to bury the Capitals before they lose the series, but if they do lose the series, do you think it's fair or unfair that Alex Ovechkin is going to again reinforce the reputation that he has of being not clutch and being a choker?
No, that's unfair.
I think it's unfair. I think in this instance it's very unfair.
It's going to happen. The people are going to say that, of course, but it really is unfair because they're playing just such a good team. They're playing against such a good team right now. I mean, any good team in the NHL they could probably beat right now. That to me is the question: is how do you beat the Penguins? Can you stop the Penguins? You can stop them, but you have to play a.
I mean, you know that they're going to try and shut Ovechkin down, so everybody else has to rise to the occasion.
Right.
Why do you get Justin Williams? Justin Williams isn't scoring. He's got a little bit of scoring, but not like you would expect Justin Williams to score. Other guys have to do it.
Go ahead, Dan.
One thing I noticed with the Penguins is if you can get their defensemen isolated, you can take on a forecheck. If you can get a one-on-one battle in the corner with some of their smaller defensemen, that's when you can win those battles. That's when you can establish a forecheck. The problem is the puck's never in that zone, so It only happens a few times a game. I noticed when the Islanders are playing well against the Penguins, that fourth line can get on and isolated matchups with those defensemen, and they win those battles, and now all of a sudden you get some scoring chances.
Yeah, the Islanders' fourth line's really good at cycling and possessing the puck. And
the problem is, it's like since the start of the year, no one can get those defensemen isolated. Right. It's because they always have the puck.
Yeah, you beat the Penguins by your second forward not being Marcus Johansson. Nicholas Backstrom, Kuznetsov.
Right.
Oshie, except for game one where he scores the hat trick, their secondary players are not coming up big, and I think the post-mortem, if they do lose in Game 5, is going to be exactly that.
This is a low-scoring series. Oshie's had very good chances. I think Oshie's having a good series, even though he's not putting up tremendous points. I wouldn't even put it on Oshie, but I think there's other guys. Like I said, Williams definitely is a guy that was brought in for a reason. Now, in this game coming up, he's got to come up big. If he doesn't, then we're going to start to say Justin Williams isn't the same anymore, and that's going to be the way it is. Look at John Carlson, as an example, stepped up yesterday because he knew, okay, nobody else is doing it. He did it. He put it on his back, and it was a wasted effort. That's tough.
Yeah. Let's talk about the Malkin hit on Winnick real fast, too. There's not going to be a hearing, apparently. I didn't think there should be, but it's a little bit out there. Considering all, this is a situation where you have such a bigger guy going against a smaller guy. It's just where he can hit him. If he's going to hit him, it's going to affect his head sort of. It's not like he went after his head. It's not like he left his skates or anything like that.
I guess this is the new normal that every game in the playoffs we're going to see. Is this an illegal hit or is this not an illegal hit?
Especially once the Orpik thing happened, so once that happened, that put it all into play. There's a lot of, what was interesting.
But here's the thing. I guess it's hard to quantify. I wish they kind of had a graphic or something on screen where they could show, because they have these shows that can do it. If they could show the force of a hit, like this is 800 pounds of pressure going to his head. Right. If they could show the viewer that on some of these hits and have an accurate number, we wouldn't even be talking about it, because the way that Orpik hit, and I forget who it was now, was a predatory hit to the point where Mata. He was trying to push in like a brick wall if he could.
So what you're saying, Russ, is you want to get the exit velo of Olli Mata's head.
Yeah. Well, no, they could do that. You just got to put those, you just got to get those trackers. You can put them in their skates or something. They could actually do that.
Don't you think they should? Because then
they do it for soccer. It's pretty interesting. They put it in the guy's cleats.
Right. You can absolutely put an accelerometer in a helmet, and you'd have no problem at all measuring the velocity of the hit.
One of the interesting things is you can see by a soccer player, because you have those guys. Health team can monitor a player, and once how many, what their average is, what their average speed is, how much ground they cover, and when those numbers change drastically, you can tell a player's injured, and that's one of the things they use it for.
So they can calculate when he's diving, is basically what you're saying.
You can tell when a player's hurt. The last thing you want to do is take a player off who might just be banged up and be better in 5 minutes, or is someone really hurt? Because once you bring them off, you can't bring them back on.
The one thing, Russ, I don't know if the NHL would want to do that right now when the concussions lawsuits are out there, because all you're doing is providing proof to the other side of, okay, here's the impact of hitting on the game.
That's a great point, Mike.
No, it's true. It's very true. And also, for concussions, it's not just a matter of the velocity of the hit. It's a matter of the fact that if a player is coming really fast, it's a matter of the brain being jogged back and forth, right? So. It's not just the hit,
No, it's the side impact. It's the
it's
amount of liquid in your head. It's how thick your skull is. It's all of it.
We can definitely we can't take it all out of the game, and I feel bad for when it comes hit. Obviously, I definitely would not want to be hit by Malkin. We'd all be out of work for 3 months. It's it's a hell of a slam. So. Yeah, I don't know.
But everybody's getting slammed like crazy in every game. Like it's just it's. We talked about it yesterday, and look, playoff hockey is playoff hockey, but now playoff hockey is jumping back to it's not only playoff hockey, but it's war of attrition again. We're getting out of the finesse game that we've all sort of been enjoying and getting back to it's really physical and expect just crazy dirty goals. You're not going to see that many skill goals anymore.
You know what I thought too is with the way the league is handling supplementary discipline, you got to do a lot to get suspended more than 2 games. You really do. So it's like some of these players are like, you know what? I'm going to run this guy. At worst, I might get a game. I'm going to do whatever I need to do. If the guy leaves on a stretcher, whatever, I might get 2 games. Because there's been
call that's never made. If there's like 20 seconds left in the game, guys are getting run right into the wall. It doesn't matter. There's never, ever that call where it should literally carry over to the next game if a guy's going to get suspended. They don't ever do that. It's a free-for-all at the end of games.
If it's a 10-game suspension in October, it should be a 10-game suspension in April. And until that happens, these guys are going to take liberties.
Yeah, but you're dreaming in Technicolor if you think that they're going to suspend. I mean, what is it? The Orpik suspension was 3 games that would have been 6 or 7 games during the regular season. That calculation that they make, 1 playoff game suspension is equal to 2 or 3.
That's on the league.
That's the league. Exactly.
It's ridiculous. I think it's such a ridiculous thing. I personally just I get that playoff games are more important, but that doesn't mean that it's less. I think that it's very ridiculous.
It doesn't measure the same. The violence is the same.
Right.
Until it happens where a series is completely altered because somebody takes a run at Crosby or someone takes a run at Jonathan Toews, it's going to take one of those guys leaving on a stretcher. And that, once again, it's the difference between a proactive and a reactive league. I've said it 1,000 times. This league is not proactive.
I'll give you an example. If the Islanders play Pittsburgh and Matt Martin takes a baseball swing to the back of Sidney Crosby's Achilles, he's getting suspended for 25 games.
But Letang can throat slash somebody,
Yeah.
But again, the difference, Letang is a star. Ovechkin is a star.
All right, and to back that one up, and I don't like to go this way because every team thinks that Crosby sort of gets extra play, but the Alzner hit on Crosby, I felt like Crosby kind of dropped real hard on purpose. I do. I think he
I don't want to say he dove. I don't think he fought gravity.
I mean, I know he got hit. Dan.
He did get hit. Yeah, he did. No, he did.
He got hit. He dropped like a ton of bricks. He knew he would get 2 minutes out of that. He did.
Crosby's been watching too many instruction tapes of Nazem Kadri.
Yeah.
No, it was a little bit odd. I mean but this is nothing more. This is nothing out of the normal for playoffs. No. We've been down this road so many times. Let's talk about the games that are coming up now tonight, which are
in the goaltending cavalcade. We have Kari Lettinen starting for the Dallas Stars, who will be yanked after 20 minutes in
Here's
favor
the thing. Right. You know what's funny? I had a chance to sleep on what I said yesterday, right? And based on what I saw on the Hockey Central show, saying that they can't trust either goalie, I say put in Jack Campbell. I really do. I mean,
is Andy Moog available?
Cesar Maniago, is he still alive?
Right. So Jack Campbell is the famous U.S. goalie. From World Juniors, who is their minor league goalie playing for the Texans.
Why not?
Why not?
He's a good goalie. He's a good young goalie.
Campbell was called up. He's part of their Black Aces.
Right.
So, but this is Lindy. Again, this is Lindy Ruff we're talking about. Lindy Ruff.
There's no chance that's going to happen.
There's not a chance in hell because Ryan Miller in Buffalo, he played Ryan Miller every game for 3 straight months. I think a couple of the games he brought in Jocelyn Thibault or Ty Conklin, whoever the backup was at the time. But just to get into the playoffs, he started Ryan Miller every game for like 3 months straight.
Right.
Now, Lindy and Mitch are getting into it again because there was some sort of remark made about how the peanuts are free, they're complimentary, but I don't know what that was in follow-up of. Like, I don't know it was a punchline to something, but obviously bigger things are coming between those two. They hate each other.
They hate each other, and I think these teams don't like each other either. The Ryan Reeves blowing a kiss at the Dallas Stars bench. And first of all, I think it's stupid because you got a team that's demoralized. They got their butt kicked 6-1, and you're doing that kind of the happy crap. I think all you're doing is giving Dallas motivation. Dallas is a shorthanded team. I don't think they're going to win this series now without Sagan coming back, and he's probably not going to be coming back. But you don't give them bulletin board material. You don't give them motivation that they don't need.
Real quick, Jack Campbell spent like a quarter of the year in the ECHL this year. His numbers were not good.
Doesn't matter. I mean, he's a goalie.
No, but his numbers were he had a
I'm a goalie,
8.89 save percentage in the ECHL.
I understand, but who's he have in front of him? When you get sent down to the ECHL, you're getting sent down so you get more playing time.
Yeah, I know, but why is a 24-year-old going to the ECHL?
Well, listen, I'm not telling you he's the best goalie, in his age group. He's not. But I'm just saying he won a championship. He's sort of lost in the system. Basically what you've seen from these two goalies, is it going to be any worse?
Right.
No, and this is the guy, Jack Campbell. Oddly enough, they're right about the Calgary Flame rumors today with the Marc-Andre Fleury, but a couple weeks ago I was hearing Calgary Flame rumors involving trying to get a hold of Jack Campbell as their. So I mean, he's got. Hello, Panda. How you doing? What's going on? Yeah, pretty good. All right, cool.
I'll just put my paw in the camera.
Yeah,
the Texas Stars' #1 goaltender was Maxim Legacy.
Yeah, I just looked at all their numbers. They had some.
Excuse me.
They had some issues.
She's like, Jack Campbell sucks. Down, no barking. All right, good dog.
He rocked for the Idaho Steelheads.
Panda doesn't agree. Yeah, no, I mean he's a. I mean, I think he's shown that he's a clutch goal, and he's shown that he can play very, very well. And I mean, and I would love to see him get a shot. It would be kind of insane right now. Yeah, let me go.
Yeah, you do what you gotta do.
Listen, I grant you it would be insane, but it's just as insane to have what's going to happen, like Mike said. One goalie goes in there, he gives up 2 or 3 goals. They put in the next goalie in there, he gives up 2 or 3 goals. You put in the one young, hungry goalie, you never know what's going to happen.
Right. No, I mean, again, I don't think Lindy Ruff's going to do that. So, I mean, he's going back to Lettinen. He's going back to Lettinen. He hopes that Lettinen catches fire, fire in a bottle, that whole, whatever. I mean, unless Dallas's defense gets a lot better quickly. I mean, St. Louis, to me, clearly has the advantage. They have the best, arguably the best player in the series in Tarasenko. Jamie Benn is no slouch, but I think that
Jamie Benn's putting up points, but he's, him and Spezza have played well. Sharp's done nothing. I mean, he's gotten a few goals. Sharp hasn't done much. Their secondary scoring's been lousy. Like you said, their defense has been lousy. Even Klingberg has been sort of turnover, a little bit too many turnovers. He's not preventing enough of those. Too much. And then it's a problem.
So I mean, I definitely think St. Louis has the advantage in the series. If they go up 3-1, again, Dallas is in the similar position that Washington is in, where they have their back against the wall. I don't know.
Funny, nobody would say Elliott's playing well. I've not heard one person.
No, he's been okay.
That's it.
He's been okay.
He played well in the last series.
He's got to be better against whoever he plays. If they make it out of this round, he's going to have to be a lot better against San Jose or Nashville.
Or Nashville, yeah.
Yeah. Now here's something we gotta watch really carefully, because I've been doing. I have to update this article because I've talked about it before, but I did it a couple years ago. The record of teams after getting blown out by 4 or more goals in a playoff series, like a playoff game, like I've talked about before, is very, very good. I mean, and it's happened this year as well a couple times when a team's gotten beaten pretty well, like the Flyers, for example, losing, very handily in Game 2, or no, what game?
You're going with the math angle again? Really?
No, I'm just saying that the playoffs are this really is sort of like quantifying the emotional factor of the playoffs, where you have the fact that you need, if you emotionally let down, like when you blow a team out, it's hard to come back the next game and play them again with the same kind of emotional intensity, and yet when you are blown out, you have a real anger. So there's that shift.
Emojis for that?
Yes, that was ominous. That shift is very prevalent, and I would not be surprised at all to see Dallas come back and win tonight. I mean, I really wouldn't, because
they have their backs against the wall. It wouldn't shock anybody, I don't think. But like both Mike and Dan and me are saying, it's going to take a monumental effort and a complete turnaround from the garbage that they showed us in the last game.
Oh yeah.
St. Louis is inflicting their style on Dallas. St. Louis can win if you're playing Dallas Stars hockey, open game. Dallas can still skate with them and win. Right. But if they're playing St. Louis, Dallas can't play St. Louis style.
Yeah, and I heard comments from Hitchcock. He was like, I mean, it was almost a note perfect game by the Blues. They played wonderfully, and he was making some comment about the Klingberg hitting the crossbar late in the first period, and how if that goal would have gone in, then it could have been a completely different game. I mean, he basically didn't want to give Dallas any bulletin board material, but they dominated that game. If they continue to dominate like that, Dallas doesn't have a chance.
I do agree. Well, let's talk about the other series, though. And the Predators also had a pretty dominant game against the Sharks.
Series where somebody has to win?
Essentially, the series that I think is the Stanley Cup final in the NHL
Come on,
Great.
is the Predators versus the Sharks. And
you know what, though? I will say this. This is the crazy year, so everything that you say can make sense. So, I mean, I can't really kill it. I can't.
no, not that everything
You're in an alternate universe, Russ.
I know.
Except Kari Ramo. Everything else he's been
Here's the
spot on.
funny thing.
I have been. I've been very good. The Rama factor is out there for sure. But
The Leafs won the lottery. The San
Wait a
Jose
minute, think
Sharks
about-
are winning the
right,
Stanley
right.
Cup.
This is like an episode of Lost. We might all be dead, and this is like we're just doing this, and we don't even know. And so that's it. I'm just saying. This
I
is
think
The Islanders won a playoff series. You're right. We could all be dead.
Yeah,
Yeah,
if I'm going to die, I want to be next to Evangeline Lilly. Thank you.
hold up. I've been putting clips together, for a project I'm doing, from old videos here, right? And one of the things I found the other day was the amazing amount of mockery that I took for saying the Sharks could possibly go to the Stanley Cup Finals. And at that time, it was just,
I don't remember that. Really?
oh my gosh.
Did I mock you, or did I just say I was scared to take
No,
the Sharks?
I don't think you were on the show that day, actually.
Okay,
I got
good.
mocked pretty
What do you
handily.
mean good? You would have mocked him too. You're not absolved.
No, actually,
Well, when did we say this? If we said this during the play, if we said it preseason, I would have maybe mocked him
we
a little
said it,
bit.
yeah, no, we said it preseason.
absolved.
I said the Sharks would be in the Stanley Cup Finals in the preseason. Okay, I did. I said that's what it was. But I also said it before the playoffs, and I also said that I still think that they have. What we're seeing is, they have a good combination of things. They have the right combination of young players and older players, and they've got great goaltending right now. And that's, that was a big X factor. We didn't know, but Martin Jones has been very, very good.
He has been.
And the biggest thing, too, is their older players are in a support role. They're not in the starring role. And that's a big difference.
That's what I said. I said that Thornton and Marlowe don't have to be. I'm not to flip my move. I just watched this the other day, so I remember this. But just that Thornton and Marlowe don't have to be the guys anymore. And
You took mockery from Kevin Allen on that, so it wasn't just us schlubs. It was.
No, it's
Yeah,
true.
Hall of
It's true.
Famer.
That's true. That's true. But
As they
still,
say, they haven't hoisted yet. So
they have not hoisted yet. Although I do like, both of these teams. The Predators are definitely a different kind of team. The Predators aren't nearly where the Sharks are. They're not. They don't have nearly the upfront talent at all, the offensive depth at all. They have a better defense, but the Sharks have a good defense. So the Sharks have a plenty good defense. The Predators have an outstanding defense. Rene has been better, at times. He's been inconsistent at times. Rene is a very fun goalie to watch, though. I will give him that. He's all over the ice all the time. He definitely takes charge of the game, and he can be just infuriating at times for them. Some of the mistakes.
The goal against Marlowe was as bad as he's going to look, and then there's other times where he does look really good. It is hard to figure him out. I grant you that.
No, he really is. Although he seems to, that Game 7 against the Ducks, he single-handedly probably got Boudreau fired. That it's probably because of Pekka Rinne that Boudreau's interviewing with all those teams right now. So, this game is going to be the toughest one for the Predators to win in my mind. This game tonight is going to be. I think the Sharks come out tonight, and the Predators, won that game a little bit too comfortably for my liking. The Sharks will be right back.
Without Mike Ribeiro, you got to believe Ribeiro's back in there too now.
Yeah, and he's obviously a force for them offensively, but he's also a really big defensive liability. So it's hard to say.
Not necessarily, Russ. I don't think. I mean,
You really think they're going to continue to sit Ribeiro?
Well, they won without him.
I know, but that's it's like anything.
The superstition of the NHL coach. If you have a winning lineup, don't mess with it unless there's an injury.
He'll be there. I think in this situation. I think he'll be
You
there.
got to put him in. I don't think you can. They're not scoring enough game to game where you could really sit this guy. Now, if you want to limit his minutes in certain situations, then do that. But you got to have him there, I think, though.
Yeah, the Predators. If the Predators do win tonight, then this is a hell of a series because this will put doubt into the Sharks' head a little bit. I think if they lose tonight, because Jones looked a little bit more normal last game.
He did.
As good as he's been, he needs to come back with another outstanding performance. If he comes back with another 4-goal performance, then things get really interesting. The Sharks are so good on the road, though. if I was a betting man, I would go with Dallas and the Sharks tonight in these two games.
But you know what? The funny thing is, we were admonishing James Neal. We were saying how embarrassing that was what he was doing with Joe Pavelski, because Pavelski was never going to bite at that.
Right.
And he just looked like an idiot. He really did look like an idiot doing
Good
that.
at that, actually, James Neal is.
He is kind of looking like an idiot.
Deep, but James Neal just has, he tends to be his own worst enemy. James Neal.
Yeah, a little bit of news here. Per Elliot Friedman from Sportsnet, the Coyotes have signed Dave Tippett to a new 5-year contract.
Wow.
So, I mean, he's getting expanded control over player personnel with the firing of Don Maloney, and they're going to hire a 26-year-old named Michael Chayka as their GM, I believe, today.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, he would be the youngest
We'll see how that.
youngest GM in the NHL history, younger than Gord Stellick when he got hired by the.
Yeah,
We'll see how that works out. I mean, because
I was just on the air with Gord Stellick, and he was like, that was my one foothold in history, and now this guy's beating me on it. It was actually kind of funny, but they asked me about it. My only real opinion is he's not running everything. Obviously, look, now Tippett's got an expanded role. They'll have somebody else just doing the cap. He's just going to do what they feel his strength is, and it's an experiment. It is.
it is. Yeah, because I mean, it's worked in baseball, bringing in these young, stat guys. But at some point, I just want to see if the stats are important, the analytics are important, but it can't be the only thing. You still have to have your scouts. You still got to trust their eyes. You still got to trust, the hockey instinct of the organization and the hockey decisions. It can't just be based off of long division.
I'm going to tell you, there are people, and I see the tweets, that actually think that analytics are more important than the eye test because they believe that certain organizations fail the eye test all the time, and that's just nonsense. I don't know how else to say it. I don't want to come out like I'm an analytic hater, because I'm not.
I'm not either. It's a support. You use it to support your argument. It can't be the only basis of your argument. And like I said before, like this guy, this kid can be great with all the numbers and all the stats. How are you going to negotiate with like a Steve Yzerman? How are you going to negotiate with a Bowman or a Holland? That's what I want to see.
That's why they're probably going to bring in an AGM who's maybe a former general manager. I know that.
If you're doing that makes sense. If you're putting that kind of team together, sure, that's great.
No, it could be a Dave Nonis. It could be I heard Dave Taylor mentioned. I mean, there are a lot of it could be a George McPhee if he doesn't think he's going to get another general manager job. There are a lot of guys out there.
He's working it right now, actually.
Yeah.
I mean, here's the funny thing.
McPhee's Gart Snow's assistant.
If you're going to make the obligatory phone call to try and get Austin Matthews, you've got to have someone who can talk to Lou Lamoriello, or you're done.
Yeah.
Done.
Well, because Toronto could end up with Ekman Larson, Domi, the building, and Arizona, the state of Arizona will be renamed Luland.
The building, the concessions, all of that.
Basically, if it's a collect call and Lou picks up the phone, the first things you better hear are Dylan Strome, Christian Dvorak, a couple first-round picks. If not, he's not accepting the charges.
Yeah, I'm just listening to Austin Matthews talk a little bit over the last week or so. We've heard him talk more and more, and he's getting more comfortable in front of the camera. Yeah. Obviously, being in front of the camera all the time. He does seem like the kind of kid who can handle Toronto. He does.
No, I think so.
He really does. There are some, I think maybe better than Connor McDavid could have in some ways. He's a little bit more mature in terms of that, and obviously he's almost a year older now than Connor McDavid was when Connor McDavid came into the league. McDavid now is really comfortable, but at the time he came in, Matthews is, if any player, Matthews, I think, will be able to be jumped right to the Maple Leafs and not have to.
I mean, he gets no breaks being in the Swiss League. Like they have professional reporters, they have media there, they've got fans that are pretty rowdy there. Actually, they're very loud. They have those crazy fan sections that he told me about. So I mean, I think this was good for him. This was sort of like,
yes, if
you want to liken it to something like when you're like a goofy 17-year-old and you go off to college. I think there's a certain maturity that happened for him. Because he was, even though his family was with him, he was playing on his own in a professional league, and that changes a lot. So yeah, I think he's pretty worldly now.
Yeah, I think he's going to be a great fit there. That's all the time we have for today, guys. But we will have a really fun show for you guys again tomorrow as we talk through these games and move forward from there. Remember, without the buzz, it is just Augie. We will talk to you soon.